Hey, what's up, everyone? Node Investor here. Got a quick update for you. I want to go and do a little deep dive analysis on Litecoin. So Litecoin has had quite the day. This I made a video on this a couple days ago talking about a potential setup, and here we go on the screen. You can see it up 30% today, $20.78. Had quite the move. So I want to do a little video on what is Litecoin, a little history of the price action, and most importantly, where could it go from here? I mean, we just hit $20. I mean, heck, we were $4 or $5 range just a couple of months ago. So what's happening and where could we go from here? So before we do that, let's take a quick look at the markets today. Bitcoin, $1,480, just continues to roar higher. Just phenomenal strength in Bitcoin. Yesterday, a lot of the altcoins were down, seems to be reversing today. Ethereum, $80.52, holding tight there. Dash, $84. Litecoin, $20.93. We'll talk more about that. Monero, $23. Ripple up 12% today. Ethereum Classic, $6, and Pivot sliding a little bit down to $1.53. Before I go into Litecoin, let's take a look at some of these charts. I mean, here's Bitcoin. Just look at this recent move. I mean, just super strong, almost parabolic, but just having a good move up in these last couple months. Hasn't been an easy ride to say the least. I mean, if you look at just going back to the start of the year, it's been choppy, very choppy. This last couple of weeks have been pretty nice though. Ethereum, let's take a look at Ethereum. Again, same thing, right? We had the big breakout last week and straight up to $80. Consolidating a little bit up here, but very strong Ethereum. Again, phenomenal move in these altcoins. Some of these other charts, Litecoin, we'll talk about that. Dash is looking pretty good here. It kind of had a little run up, pulled back a little bit into some support. Looks like it wants to pop. Ripple, just Ripple being real strong here. Ethereum Classic almost went straight up here for a minute, just consolidating a little bit. Ethereum Classic real strong. Monero, I also talked about Monero a little bit on a potential setup on Monero. It looks like it's edging out here. Pretty good move today on Monero. And NAM, we won't talk about NAM right now. So let's get into the real issue here, Litecoin. So Litecoin, $20. So first of all, what is Litecoin? For those that are new to this space, and here's the litecoin.org website, you can read about it. Litecoin was one of those early on cryptocurrency, alt currencies. It was for a long time known as the silver to the Bitcoin gold. And they had some benefits that they were touting as far as why they were better than Bitcoin. I'm not going to go into the debates about which one's better or why what, but you can read it here. Some of the things they touted was their blockchain was faster, their block sizes were different, encryption, but Litecoin has been around for some time and was almost kind of just forgotten about with the rise of Ethereum and Dash, Ripple, and some of these other ones recently, and has really come roaring back here in the last couple of months. So there's been some news. Some of the things driving Litecoin, there's this thing called segregated witness. We call it SegWit. The adoption of that, which is underway, is supposed to make the network significantly faster, so transaction times would be even faster. If you're familiar with Bitcoin, that's one of the challenges is transaction times are very slow right now. Litecoin would speed that up. Another big reason is if Litecoin adopts SegWit, perhaps Bitcoin would adopt SegWit. So the other big news was Coinbase. So today, Coinbase, if you're familiar with that wallet, it's a wallet slash holder, if you will, of coins. You can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and as of today, Litecoin. So news came out. Coinbase, we are pleased to announce that is adding Litecoin. So I'll put a link below in the description for you guys if you're not familiar with Coinbase. I have used them in the past. I still do from time to time. So they're adding Litecoin. Pretty good, pretty big deal in terms of making it easier for individuals to be able to pick up some Litecoin. So let's take a look at the history of Litecoin. As I mentioned, for a while, it was kind of the forgotten coin, right? So as of today, Litecoin has re-entered the billion-dollar club. Market cap is just over $1 billion. Trading volume is huge. $240 million worth of this stuff traded over the last 24 hours. Current circulation and supply, basically 51 million Litecoin. There will only ever be 84 million Litecoin available. So if we look at the history here, let me zoom out a little bit, right? So Litecoin has had an interesting history here. We had it kind of go from nothing to a big run up in late 2013. And this is when I was in Litecoin way back in the day. I was doing some GPU mining of this thing. Um, and had the big run up, got a lot of attention. It went literally from dollar, $2 up to $53. And then had the long, slow grind all the way down to about $4. Bottomed down at $1.20, but then it's just sat $4 for literally 2+ years, doing really nothing. One thing to keep an eye on too is during this whole period, look at the volume. Daily trading volume was in the $1 million range. Here is less than $1 million range. So not only was the price low, um, there wasn't a lot of action on here as far as trading goes on exchanges. So Litecoin's been around for a long time, was kind of not really in the leader chart anymore. And then here recently, we had this big pop. So let's zoom into this recent time zone here. Here's 2017. You can see here, even through March, nothing really happening in Litecoin, just sitting around the $4 mark. And then basically end of March, April, we had the big pop, went to $5, got a lot of attention. Talk of SegWit started to happen here, and the rest is history, as they say. And then today, the big pop. So interesting price action in the past. So where can we go from here? That's what everybody wants to know now. We've had this big run up. Did we miss the boat? Is it too late? Or is there more to come? So there's a couple ways to look at this. I'm going to pull up a chart here. Let's do some technical analysis. So this is the candlestick charts 1-day bars. So this is the daily bar. This moving average is a 10-day exponential moving average. This little blue area, that's what I highlighted just a few days ago in that video. I said, hey, Litecoin's consolidating, something to keep an eye on. And then we had the big pop, pretty decent volume coming in on that pop. So where could we go from here? So if you look at the moving average, right, and we just extend this trend, if you will, let's zoom out a little bit, and let's say we have a trend line that's forming here. Using a trend, if we just draw a generic line, now nothing goes straight up like this cleanly, so this is probably the least reliable forecasting method. Okay, so don't hold this as gospel here, guys, but if we project the current trend out, and if it stays at this slope, what this is telling us is at this current trend by mid-June-ish, Litecoin would be at $30 if it continued at this trajectory. $30 is really not that far-fetched, and I'm going to show you guys why. So there's one way to look at it, right? So if you look at the $30, just kind of this general trend. Now, it could come back, it could break, it could plateau, extend this out, and then decide to go. There's just a lot of things that could happen between now and then. No one knows. So that's one way to look at it. From here, right, it could just digest this move, sit tight, maybe pull in a little bit, catch up to this moving average, which will probably be around 2022 by then, and then bounce from there, and then start a different trend. So there's that scenario. Let's look at market cap, right? So market cap's a good way. So I know you guys like the charts. I put together some more charts here for you. So let me explain this chart here. So this is saying, okay, today, Litecoin at $20.78, market cap just over $1 billion, right? So these numbers are in millions. So 1,058 million is basically billion-dollar market cap. If market cap went to $1.5 billion, that translates into a $29.45 Litecoin. Again, this is based on the current supply of Litecoin. So basically $30 Litecoin at $1.5 billion market cap. If we go to $2 billion market cap, basically $40 Litecoin, right? $39.27. And if we just keep doing that math, right, $2.5 billion market cap puts us at $49, $50 Litecoin, which was that previous all-time high. And a $3 billion market cap would put us at almost $60 Litecoin. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying Litecoin is going to be worth $3 billion and it's going to $60. So don't misunderstand me. This is just another way to run some scenarios and say, okay, if it did this, here's where it would go if it did this. Now, personally, what do I think? I certainly expect to see Litecoin at a $2 billion market cap. Will that happen this year? Who knows, right? I'm not going to say that it'll happen this year. Ultimately, I do see Litecoin going back to 2 billion and possibly higher. If the sentiment in the current cryptocurrency space continues, that's not unreasonable to see it go from 1 billion to 2 billion. Probably take a few months, but anything can happen, right? We saw Ethereum go from 12 to 50 pretty quickly, so anything can happen. But these are some pretty interesting scenarios. You know, I kind of ran these numbers, and it's really surprising to see $3 billion market cap would put Litecoin at $60. So if you think it's expensive at $20, $60 sounds pretty nice. So last way to compare of where we could go is just looking at the price action history, right? So doing some like horizontal support resistance zones. There's nothing in the recent past to do that against because we're so far up here at $24 and it hasn't really been that at that point in years. So let's look at some longer term data point. If we go back to coin market cap, they've got some really good history charts here. I'm going to just zoom back in time to some previous spikes that we saw here. That's not even a big spike, that's $5. So we're gonna have to go back all the way to 2014 basically. So if we look back at 2014, see these peaks where it kind of wants to get above and then it doesn't and tries to get above it, or back here this was kind of a floor and then it drops below and becomes a ceiling. That's what we call horizontal support resistance zones. In this point here, that puts us at $20 as a previous resistance. We are now over that, so then we have to go back and look at some previous peaks. There was a lot of peaks back here, $24, $25. It kind of briefly went up to $29 and then back down, $26. So, you know, that average there is probably around the $25 range. So if we want to look back at some next stops, if it continues to move higher, that's most likely where it'll want to take a pause in the $25 to $29 range. And then beyond that, going up, it'll be 30, 35, and then 40. And then if we break this, it peaked at 53. If we break that, we're in all-time highs, and there's really no way to do support resistance at that point. So those are some interesting numbers. Near term, anything can happen. The market could decide to correct again, but for now, Litecoin is on the move, and we're probably headed to 25. Ultimately, I think 30 at least.